Hey everybody, it's Professor Diffley. This is Philosophy 220, Criminal Justice Ethics. So we're in Module 9 now, Chapter 8, Punishment and Corrections. You got 2 weeks to do this module. The reason is there's a lot to it. There is a code of ethics you need to learn. So for the quiz for this unit, you'll have the common true, false, multiple choice, that sort of thing, maybe fill in the blank, matching, something like that. But you also have the ethical scenarios this time. Instead of police conduct, it will be based in the jails, the corrections there. There's no journal for this week. Cut it. You got enough to do for this. There is a discussion board, and this is on the death penalty. And you can see here there's some information, the background to it, and then here's your question. When you look at the required videos, it really does look like there's a lot. This first one has to do with the ethics, the code of ethics here. But everything else here is background and views on the death penalty. This one also, sorry, I'll move that up. This one also has to do with ethics. So let me restate, other than the first two, everything else is about the death penalty. You will get questions on that on the quiz and the final, but a lot of this is to help you with the discussion board. These first two are from Corrections 1. It's a website, magazine, and the people who write for it, the contributors here, are former correctional officers themselves. The required articles here really goes into in depth about some of the issues, and these are written by former and current correctional professionals, and so these are topics, looking at the topics from those in the field. So these are very, very useful. Let's just see this. Let's go with this one. Warning signs here. Even the article, they're not very long. This one's, you can see a lot of it is pretty short. It'd be about a page or two in your textbook is where we're at there. Take a look at those. Make sure you read all those. They're very important. They are also fair grounds for the quiz and the final exam. So what I wanted to do with the rest of this first video here is talk about the code of ethics. So you do have a code of ethics in the textbook for corrections. However, I want you to use the the PDF I'm giving you, and I got to get back out over here to get to it. And so this will look like for you. So where is it? It will be here. The Correctional Association Declaration of Principles and Code of Ethics comes up as a PDF. You can print it, download it, take a look at it there if you like. Why this one? I'll go to my version here. Why this one? It does include this overview stuff, Declaration of Principles. The principles are very helpful in understanding what the overall goal of corrections is, and especially in ethical terms here. I mean, you'll see the first part of the chapter, when you look at, deals with a lot of these, the ethics of punishment, and the reasons why we are incarcerating people. The goals, what's the goal of it? So it really does matter what the goal of the prison system is, correctional system is, because it will determine how you should treat the inmates. What you should give them in terms of help, aid, what is the real goals. And you've seen this in other ones, so I'm not going to go through a lot of it. You can see this in the book. I give you the info in the slides there. You'll see some more of this. We'll come back to that. But again, let's go back to the Code of Ethics here. Know these core principles that it lists here. It's these principles: humanity, justice, protection, opportunity, knowledge, competence, and accountability are foundations of corrections policy and public protection. And you could read through these, right? It's about upholding the dignity of individuals, the rights of all people, even prisoners. Justice is on here. Protection of both the public against the criminals and of their health and safety while they're in there. Opportunity. Because again, if we believe we're rehabbing these convicts, then the goal is to change them, make them better, fix whatever's wrong with them. That's what it rehabilitate. And so you can see all of that there. There's knowledge, that ideas and policies need to be based on some sort of knowledge, just not haphazard. Competence. This requires correctional staff to be competent, to be up to date on laws, regulations, relevant standards, that sort of thing, and holding people accountable. So, but let's look at the Code of Ethics here. The Code of Ethics is broken down. I'm going to jump over to the slides here. It's broken down into, and see, you can see in the notes here, it says, see the video on this. 17 principles here. 17 parts. Again, the one in textbook isn't numbered, so I gave you the PDF where they are numbered 1 through 17. Mostly these deal with interactions between corrections personnel and offenders. Why is this so important that we have ethics in this field here? Let me just bring this up a little bit for you to see there. Why is it so important here? It's valuable because corrections are low visibility. This isn't like police-public interactions, which are out on the streets in public. This is, behind the prison walls. Very few people will ever see inside there and know and be privy to it. It's not like you can have bystanders today that can record interactions, or report on them. It's harder in prison. So making sure that people are acting ethically is important. And again, because there's fewer witnesses, that whole thing, and being able to see them. And so once people are put into prison, there's all sorts of ethical issues that arise regarding the state's obligation here. And these are some of the biggest ones here. Proper treatment of the offender, obligations of those entrusted with their supervision, preferential or selective treatment, misuse of official position, that sort of thing. And we'll come back to that. But that is largely what the Code of Ethics is going to look at here. Now, when you read through these 17, they're very short. Again, they're about a sentence each. Each one is a sentence each. A lot of them are obvious and are similar to other codes of ethics. Respect and protect civil and legal rights of all. Even though the prisoners, they still have rights. We all know that. Treat every professional situation for the concern for the welfare of everybody involved. The prisoner, the public, your colleagues, and also no intent for personal gain. So this is an obvious prohibition against corruption and using your position to enrich yourselves. Some of the things that are different here, though, members shall maintain relations with colleagues to promote mutual respect within the profession and improve quality of service. This is really concerned about how correctional personnel treat each other. So even the ethics says you have to treat your coworkers, your colleagues well. You'll see that in a lot of code of ethics for different fields. Parts of them always deal with how to act towards your colleagues and creating that respect for each other. It also says, here's another one, don't make public criticisms of colleagues or agencies unless they're warranted, verifiable, and constructive. What this, the prison system, the criminal justice system is partly based on people having confidence in it. If you have members of these fields bad-mouthing and or acting badly outside there, it's going to bring the whole shame or negative outlooks on and views of the system there. So I want you to do that. So be careful when you're making public criticisms, that sort of thing. And also, this is an interesting one. Respect the importance of all disciplines within the criminal justice and prove to cooperate with each segment. What this is talking about here is not just with, say, correctional officers and police, but also other parts of the criminal justice system, like prosecutors, or more rightly, defenders, the lawyers that are coming to help, or not help, but work with the prisoners, that sort of thing. You need to respect everybody. I know there's often a negative view on criminal defense attorneys. We covered that in the last unit. Most criminal defense attorneys do not view their job as trying to get the criminals off. It's just trying to ensure that they are treated with the due process and rights that they deserve. So it's trying to get that they get a fair treatment. Most of them know that, or don't even want to know whether or not their client is guilty. Many times they probably are. What they're trying to do is just make sure that they are treated according to the law. So this is it. Is that you're. Sometimes police and correctional officers may see these defendants, criminal defense attorneys, as playing for the opposite team, but you're all sort of on the same side because you want the same thing there. So that's sort of the idea. And let me just some more down here about individuals. Members shall respect, promote, and contribute to a workplace that is safe, healthy, and free of harassment in any form. This is important. Free of harassment, not just towards the prisoners, but also to your colleagues, especially as more and more women have entered the criminal justice field. This is an issue that they're paying close attention to. Making sure women are treated fairly in there, no sexual harassment, that sort of thing. It can be tough being, one of the only females, I'm sure, in a male-dominated profession. So this is looking to make sure. that they are treated right in all of that. So that is some of the big ones that are different. Sorry, let me go back to this here. Be careful about making public criticisms. Respect all disciplines. Respect the public's right to information. If the public deserves the information that's permitted by law, and that's what and subject to right to privacy, then they should provide it. The goal here is transparency is needed in the criminal justice system. To the extent that the laws allow, right? We can't just give out people's private information all the time. Again, members shall respect and protect the right of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity. That one seems obvious. Do not use your position to secure personal privileges or advantages. We're going to see that as one of the major issues in criminal justice ethics, is you have COs and others using their position to either, in many cases, we're going to see sexual misconduct with prisoners, or using it. One of the biggest issues is contraband, smuggling and contraband. Unfortunately, there are a number of cases where the COs were helping smuggle in drugs and other things. Why are they doing it? For money is usually the reason here, but that is some of the things. So you can't use this for your own advantage there. This is similar to, you see, the police refrain from allowing personal interest to impair objectivity. What we're talking about there, especially, is like say someone that you're a friend or somebody you grew up with, or a family member ends up in the prison that you're working in. You have to treat them like you would everybody else with objectivity. No special treatments. That's the idea. Refrain from informal or agreement which presents a conflict of interest. Again, this is, you work for the state here, you work for the prison system. You can't be doing things that hurt it. You can't be any activity that's a conflict of interest. And conflict of interest is where you're supposed to be. You're looking out for yourself and not that of your job or whomever you owe the duty to. Don't accept gifts, services, that sort of thing. We've seen the same reasons for with the police. It's usually reciprocity is what people want, right? No one's just giving away anything for free. They expect something back from you in return is where they're going. Again, differentiate between your values and those of the agency, right? When you speak, you got to remember you're also representing the agency. So sometimes your personal feelings, there's a place and time for it. But if you say I'm in uniform or, to the news and they say you're a corrections officer, there's the chance that they'll, or a police officer, chance they will then graft your views, your statements onto the agency. As you see, there's other ethical rules here. Report corruption, unethical behaviors. You saw that some of the videos deal with this as well. Don't discriminate. That's obvious on one. Also, when you have private information, just like the police, you have to keep it private, right? Privacy. So you have confidentiality. Privacy is where I have the right, an individual has the right to let certain information out. Confidentiality is when you get that information, you have to keep it confidential, not get it out there for the person for various rules and laws. 16, what this is trying to do is ensure merit-based promotions here rather than personal interest of just promoting your friends, that sort of thing. This is a big one here, the harassment and form. So you can see there are a lot of similarities between the police ones and this. Make sure you know them. Now, what do you do on the exam? Again, and most of you did this pretty well on the police one, is you have to, identify what's going on in the scenarios I give you. What are the ethical issues there? And then point out the code sections that apply, right? So if someone's taking bribes, you have to point out that they're not supposed to, corrupt. You should report them. They can't be accepting gifts. They can't be conducting conflicts of interest. Can't be trying to secure personal privileges. That sort of thing, and explain why. So go into detail more. So use the code of ethics. Here's the rule. Here's how they're breaking the rule. And that sort of thing. That's how you're going to want to explain those. I give you a lot of feedback in the exams from the last one. All right, we will pick up with lecture 2 video, which will be the last one. I'll just go through some of the other slides there. All right, see you in a bit.